Angie.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our regular called board meeting on June 15th, 2023 at 5 p.m. in the Estill County Board of Education boardroom. At this time, first on our agenda, we would like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone. At this time, we'd like to stand and say our pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to remind everyone, if you'd like to sign in, there's a sign-in slip as you come through the entranceway into the boardroom. Mr. Saylor, do we have any revisions to our agenda?
No, the agenda in front of you is correct. We had one item we took off that will come back to you all in July. So, but other than that, the agenda as it's presented to you all is correct.
Okay. First on our agenda, we have some recognitions. We have our national competition participants.
Yes, and we have Ms. Combs here with some of our HOSA students that's going to be competing in national competition. So, Ms. Combs, if you'd come forward and introduce them, and I think they've got a small presentation for you guys tonight. And it's always exciting to see our students going to national competition. And this year we're blessed to have two groups, or at least one group and then one individual at the high school going. So. And you guys, you've got the microphone there, so.
Hi, my name is Haley Harris, and I am our HOSA president for this year. This is our principal, Ms. Tammy Combs of the ATC. She has been wonderful this year in helping us complete and being able to do all we do. So I have here with me my Parley group. I have Michael Kirby, Kaylin Benton, Kylie Goulman, and then competing in nutrition, I have Ms. Hannah Hall with us also. She's also going to nationals with us for HOSA. This year, HOSA has accomplished many things with our instructor, Jordan Crow, who has been such an amazing role model to all of us. In our HOSA chapter, this is our first year actually being able to do anything since the construction of the ATC was only happened in the previous 2 years. Is that what it was? 2 years. So this is our first year really being able to actually get to do anything with it. That first year was kind of, bumps in the road. So we got to go through that, which was amazing. This year we have actually been able to do a lot of different community service projects and activities throughout the high school and ATC. We were able to have a suicide prevention week, which is a great activity to have in our high school. And then we actually also got to represent our community by having a breast cancer awareness ceremony. Even though we had a lot more on the schedule for this year and on our agenda, we weren't able to complete a lot of it, but a lot of it will go on to next year's. So I'm actually I graduated this year, but my Parley team will definitely continue these traditions that we have set forward. This year we also got to compete. We competed in regional competition in March, and we had a lot of qualifiers go to state, including Hannah Hall and our Parley team. From that, the people in front of me, or beside me, I guess, actually also got to go to, we qualified for nationals. So our Parley team placed second in the state, and Hannah placed third in nutrition. So we will be going on to Dallas the 21st through the 25th of June. And I would just like to thank our amazing board for allowing us to go on this trip. Our goal is to bring back gold to Estill County, national gold. I know we have been practicing diligently for this competition, and we are truly excited to be able to represent Estill County on the national scale. So thank you all so much for your time, and that's HOSA.
I have to say just a little bit about HOSA. In 18 years, my very first national competition to take my students were Dallas. So life goes all the way around. So here, Jordan's first nationals will be in Dallas again. And for me, we were top 10 in the nation. So we'll root 'em on from home.
And I guess we'll have to excuse Jordan tonight. I think she's indisposed. She's actually in Alaska, but don't tell nobody. So she's on an Alaskan cruise. So I know they're looking very forward to it. And as you know, the board always puts aside funds for national and state travel. So the board is helping finance that trip. And I know they're very appreciative of you guys for doing so.
Next, we have an update from the Estill County High School FBLA.
And we have Mr. Markham with us tonight, and he can take care of the introductions, and we're excited to hear the next presentation.
Hello, I'm Jordan Markham. I'm the FBLA advisor at the high school, and tonight I have the honor and privilege to introduce to you Chesney Tipton. She's going to be competing at the National Leadership Conference for FBLA in Atlanta here in a couple weeks. So I'm going to let her talk to you about that, how she got to that point, and what she'll be doing.
Thank you. Like my advisor, Mr. Markham, said, my name is Chesney Tipton, for those of you who might not know me. I was actually our chapter's treasurer, and I've been a member of FBLA all 4 years of high school, but I did graduate this last month. Thank you. So, like Mr. Markham said, later this month we'll be heading down to Atlanta so I can compete in the National Leadership Conference. In the spring, I competed in both the Region 6 conference and the state conference. I placed first at Regions and made top 8 at state. So this year I decided to compete in hospitality and event management. At the Region Conference, I had to take a 100-question objective test. At the state conference, I had to take the same type of test, but I actually made it to the final round, which is a case study event. For this, you get a case study and you have 20 minutes to basically either plan an event or figure out some type of resolution to an issue, and then you have to present it in front of judges. So at the NLC, I'll be doing the same thing. I'll take another objective test, and if I happen to make it to the final round, I'll do another case study. Just very, very grateful for this opportunity. I want to thank my advisors, Mr. Markham, also Paul Short was my previous advisor, also the CTE program. Mr. Markham's classes helped me get to this point, as well as him. This is just going to be such a great opportunity for me to learn, honestly, both of us to learn. I feel like we learn a lot at every conference we go to. We'll get to listen to a lot of guest speakers and get to tour such a beautiful city. That's everything. Thank you.
Hold up just a minute. You could have got to get me 5 more medals. I forgot to get him a medal, yeah. Come on back up, guys. I'm gonna get a picture with you guys first. We're gonna give you a Medal of Excellence. I forgot to get them, but Ms. Williams is gonna run out and get them for you guys as well. But we appreciate your efforts, and represent us well, and turn your medal around, and we'll get somebody here to take a picture. You know, Jessica, you care to take a picture? Everybody? Thank you. And we'll try to get those to her. Teresa, you want to get them? It doesn't matter, either one of them. will come back up. I've got some, I'll get the other medals for you, but I forgot to get them down here. That's what happens when you get old. That's why I'm retired. Here's one, and I'll let her get back with the other two. Ms. Combs, if you would come up as well. We'll teach Jordan to be in Alaska. She won't get to be in the picture. Give us just a minute and we'll get the other two medals. Feels like me.
Want me to open them for you?
Yeah. Jump in there, you guys squeeze in here together. I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll sort of stand back there.
Anybody wants anything from Mr. Saylor, tonight's the night to ask. He's giving out medals.
Giving out medals. I won't be handing out $20 bills though, so if you're waiting on cash, you're in trouble.
Okay, so next on our agenda, we have our mountain movers.
I know last time we tabled this, so Abby's going to come forward tonight, and we're going to recognize our community mountain mover from May.
So our community mountain mover is Carhart. Carhart has had a special place in Estill County for over 90 years. Down through its history in Estill County, Carhart has offered jobs to many local residents, allowing them to stay close to home if possible. Here comes the Lily.
And William, if you'd come up. And guys, I don't know if you all had the privilege of knowing the story for Carhart, but William would be the first to tell you that today would be that. Back during the Depression, if it wasn't for Estill County, Carhart wouldn't exist today, because they came here looking for a partner. The community stepped up, and the first factory here in Estill County was built right down here where today basically you operate your world headquarters for Carhart. And I think that's amazing to think that you've got a company that big that is right here in Irvin, and because of the people of Irvin, it's here, and true to their word, they have been here since that day. And then 2 years ago, they were able to return that investment to the community threefold in $100,000 support of the Estill County Area Technology Center. That's a great story. And William is a Estill County High School graduate, fantastic individual, and I count him as a friend, and I appreciate you, man. And we appreciate what Carhart does for this school system and this community as a whole.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm gonna get one for Carhart here.
Well, I think you need to get in here with us as well. Jessica, if you don't care to get one of us with Brian as well. As y'all know, Brian works at Carhart, and we thankful for him.
Get Bill Williams to tell that story, you're ready to run through walls.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have our NISL participants.
And I don't think that, of course, with summer, everybody's on vacation. I know that Stephen and Donald are both on vacation, and I did not see Miss Brooke Young come in either, so she may be as well.
Her children have all been.
her children have ball games. Imagine that. No, because we did those all in May. But we do have 3 NISL participants, and hey, there's their picture. They are with us. They're with us virtually. So we're very appreciative of our administrators, and almost until we hired 2 assistant principals this year at the high school, all of our administrators in this office and all of our principals have been through NISL. And NISL is a National Leadership Institute for school administrators. And you don't know how lucky we are as a school district that we've been able to do that. We've had some partners at KDE that's been very good to us. My former assistant principal in Bell County is the leader of that program, and she has seemed like that every year we've had 2 or 3 participants in NISL. We've got 3 more this coming year, so now everybody will be trained again, 100% of our administrators. It's a great program, and I'm very appreciative of those 3 individuals, and when they get back, they will get a medal, and they will also get their certificate. So congratulations to those 3 on the completion of their program.
Next on our agenda, we'd like to recognize our outgoing student representative, Miss Abby Smith.
Well, I held on to this a minute ago. She tried to take her own certificate. I don't know how she was going to present herself. But we've been very blessed to have a wonderful student representative for our board. This is the 2nd year that we have had a board representative, and she's done a great job. I think she's going to Western this coming school year, so she's going to be a hill topper. It's just too bad we don't have a train that you can ride from Bowling Green, but we're very appreciative for Abby, and I know that we have a new student rep that will be starting with us in July. But thank you very much, and we appreciate you. Anything you'd like to say, Abby?
The floor is yours.
Well, I guess I'd like to say thank you to everybody. I really appreciate it. I like every single one of you on this board. You guys have supported me wonderfully. I'd like to say thank Mr. Saylor and Mr. Yost for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Next, we're up to our retiree recognitions.
Austin's gonna go first.
Tonight, have the opportunity to recognize 2 special ladies. It's been a big part of what we do at Success Academy. First, we'll talk about Miss Stephanie Bailey. When she came to us 2 years ago, it was a tough time, really. Coming out of COVID, we started our virtual program, and she's been with us from the very start, advocating for kids in K through 5, and been instrumental in getting that program started. It's been a big help to the district with opportunities that she's provided to kids that couldn't come back in person for one reason or another. Been a big part of our home health program as well, and she's had a long career. I don't know if I'm the one that should be speaking about her career because she's just with us for 2 years, but in the time that she was there, like I said, she was instrumental. She's been very special, real go-getter. Anything that we asked of her, always jumped to do it, and really enjoyed having her. Last year, she was stuck with a bunch of cranky old men, and this year, luckily, she had a couple more females there, but we're really going to miss her at Success Academy, and really appreciate everything Stephanie Bailey's done in her career for students of Estill County.
Austin, if you want to go ahead and present.
That's Stephanie's.
Come over in front of the E there. You might want to cover my name up. That way you won't have to open all of them.
Hi, Cece.
Stephanie has been with us for 30 years, right, Stephanie? Okay, I can still see the name.
Well, we might.
Be like, oh, back. She's like, oh,
Jeff
back.
said you had me on time.
I know. You want me to talk about you?
You can I let go.
I feel like there are some stories I need to
Well, I'm gone now.
Your stories will forever live.
Yes,
they will. Let's just say she's the Thelma to my Louise.
That's about the truth. And I had the honor of working with her.
Again, I'd like to thank Stephanie. Next, we'll talk about Miss Susie Napier. Another long career, and she's been with us a little bit longer, but my first time meeting Susie, she was a young teacher at South Irvin Elementary, and I think I just left there and went to the middle school maybe. My mother was still teaching there, and she came in and was full of energy, full of life. Never heard my mother say a bad word about her, so that was good. Played ball with Joshua growing up, so I was around her and crazy husband a lot. So she's always been, her and her whole family's been special to me. She has been, she's had a tough job too. You know, if you think about working alternative education, she's helped the district, she's helped the high school, and I think back the last couple of years and we've had a lot of success, and I say we, but I was thinking when I was driving out here, it's not really we, it's Susie. It's 100% Susie with all the different programs that we do at the Success Academy. Of course, athletics, she's carried the load over the last couple of years coming. He's not had a nap today, I apologize. His mother's at a ball game, so I've got both of them. But she, if you think about it, and we've dealt with this, Mr. Yost can speak to this, alternative education is something I had a little bit of experience in prior to accepting this role, but it's changed so much in 3 or 4 years. So, you know, she kind of had her feet established at Success Academy. COVID hits, changes everything in education like it has for everybody else, and she had to kind of work her way through COVID. And then all of a sudden, it created a new set of challenges coming back because you had kids that some of them didn't participate in school for a year and a half. Now they're behind credit-wise, and she's really moved mountains, to be honest, with the work she's done the past couple of years, and we're really going to miss Miss Susie Napier.
I think he just takes a picture with you this time. You can cover the name up again.
Well, you're up, yeah. We just don't want it to get broken.
I know where you're at.
You get to be in every picture now, guys. Miss Napier, would you like to come up next for Miss?
Runway music.
Well, I'm not as smooth as Austin. I will get up here and talk forever about these people, so I had to make me some notes. We have 4 retirees at the middle school, and like Austin said just a minute ago, you know, there's a lot of you in this room that have worked with these people a lot longer than me. So when I get done, if any of you all want to say anything, you're more than welcome to. First, let me talk about you, Teresa, and then we'll call you up, okay? Miss Teresa Rader. Teresa is one of those people who would probably do anything to help anyone. Just look at her. She has been, no, I know it. Hey, will you put that picture up? That's what, I mean, like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But Stephen, you're not Stephen. You're Simpson. Simpson, that one. Just look at her right here. At one of our spirit rallies. So she really would just do about anything for anybody that crosses her path. And for 30 years, she has been a paraeducator in our FMD class. And she's done absolutely everything that she possibly could to help her students and our staff in every situation that I've witnessed. And I've only worked with her for a year, but I can tell she's done that all 30 of them. Like I said, she served 30 years as a paraeducator in the FMD room, and that's an amazing feat, because if you ever want to see the handiwork of God at work, go watch the people who work with those kids in those rooms every day across our district. They're amazing people, and Teresa's one of the best. Some things that she wanted me to point out, and I just think these are probably little tidbits that I didn't realize, and I know some of you in here didn't. She's known as the last woman standing at the middle school. The last woman standing from the original staff that was there 25 years ago. So she's been there the longest. She's the longest running female in the building. In 2002, she established the Academic Booster Club at ECMS, and to this day, it's still running and still supporting those kids who are on our academic team. So thank you for that, Teresa. Teresa, we do want to thank you for sharing your talents with this district for the past 30 years. You will be greatly missed, so come on up here.
I will never forget these pictures. Yeah.
You did just have a blank one. No name on it.
Yeah. It'd be good to get, but everybody's going to continue to do.
Next, we have a young lady who has worked in our building for 19+ years, and we know her as Flo. She's the beginning line on my statement here. I put no words that I could possibly express could describe a woman like Flo, but I'm going to try. Her title was custodian, but she did so many other things to take care of the building, and in fact, she really took care of us. She ran a tight ship in the cafeteria at lunchtime, and she showed us all nothing but love and demonstrated the hardest work ethic at the middle school. Her custodial partners said this. They asked me to share this about you, Flo. Flo is a go-getter. She could work any man or any woman under the table. There is not a lazy bone in her body. Somebody else said she can teach the unteachable. She said, we all thought, I already know how to clean a window or sweep a floor, but after she taught you, you thought, oh, no, I didn't. And lastly, one of them said that she always was very patient with them. I remember her saying, Kim, it'll be okay. It will all be okay. So Kim said this, she made me love this school the way I do. She made me feel like somebody. That's somebody that had worked with her for many years. Her laughter is unforgettable. I hope you get to hear that before she leaves tonight. I heard it the first time. I don't even remember what happened in the office, but I turned around and looked at the ladies and like, we need to record that. That should be like a bell in dismissed classes in our building. She retired mid-year, but she still had such an impact on our kids this year that there was a science project where Miss Beard had asked her 7th grade students to make theme parks. And there was a group of little 7th grade girls that made their theme park in honor of Flo. And they called it Flo's Cafeteria. We put that picture up, Jeremy? They made T-shirts. They wore their T-shirts. Here it is. There's Flo. It's called Flo's Cafeteria. There's their little T-shirts. Go back to this one. Yeah. You can see, here's their theme park. They put a big old statue of Flo right there in the middle. And they made that theme park, let me find it. Yeah, they made that theme park full of energy, smiles, and laughter, just like Flo. So she came back, she got to take part in that, and they honored her with that little project. So that just shows you what a difference she makes in our kids every day. So Flo, thank you for sharing your talents with us for 19+ years. You are greatly missed and much appreciated. So come on up here.
name on it, Flo. You don't have to hide that now.
So the third retiree is Miss Mona Arvin. So in my not so humble opinion, Mona Arvin was the most important person at Estill County Middle School. As our cafeteria manager, she filled our bellies with her tasty food, and she filled our hearts with her warm and welcoming presence in our kitchen for over 24 years. She worked 24 years full-time, and she worked 3 years as a sub. As her principal, I quickly learned that Mona was flexible, and if it was best for the kids, Mona was down for it. Multiple times when changes to the daily schedule were needed, she said to me, "We've never done it like that, Miss Napier, but we'll try it." And she made it work every time. The most complimenting statement that I can make about Mona actually is not anything that I can say. It came from 2 separate outside groups that came into our building this year. And each group spent all day in our building, and they ate lunch in our cafeteria. Both of those groups, at the end of the day, when we met with them, they mentioned our lunch ladies and their staff and how kind and generous and respectful they were. In fact, the Kentucky Center for School Safety group said, "The lunch ladies were the nicest we have ever seen. Make sure you tell them that we are in a lot of schools and they treated us better than any other school has." I'm just getting all kinds of background music tonight. Oh, Peggy. Anyway, Mona's staff has a great appreciation for her as well, and they will surely miss her. So thank you for sharing your talents with us for 24 plus years, Mona. You will be greatly missed. Come on up. Last but certainly not least, we have Miss Mickey Tucker. Mickey, you stay back there. I get to talk about you all I want. So they tell you in principal school to surround yourself with smarter and more capable people and then turn them loose and let them do their job. But luckily, somebody had already done that for me before I got here by hiring Mickey Tucker. The first time I met her, I knew that she was exactly what I needed as an assistant principal, and that she was also perfectly capable of doing my job. We complimented each other very well. She was a talker, I was not. She was a ball of fun, while I was more on the serious side. She had to teach me how to slow down. We call it pumping my brakes, so to speak. She had to remind me to eat lunch, and she had to make me go home at a respectable time. If you know Mickey's story, you know that she came to learn the importance of all those things by experience. You see, while she was taking care of us in our school and our students a few years ago, she was diagnosed with and treated for cancer. She didn't miss one day all throughout that treatment. And through all that, she definitely learned the importance of taking care of herself first and foremost. She has taught us that we can have fun, we can make the most of every moment, and we can take care of ourselves while still being dedicated to our job. In fact, she's taught us that we can't do our best work unless we do take care of ourselves. That's been hard for me to learn, but she's helped me do that. My favorite memory of Mickey is during the very serious interview of her replacement. Actually, it was a very intense interview. We asked a lot of hard questions. We were really into it. She said, "Now, for the most important question of all, can you dance? And we will need a demonstration." I'm not kidding. But seriously, she has touched our hearts forever and will be greatly missed. From my understanding, she was a heck of a math teacher at the high school before becoming an assistant principal at the high school and then the middle school. So Mickey, we just want to say thank you for giving us 27 years of your talents and a lifetime full of memories. Come on up.
No, we don't think you're kidding. Music was for, I was gonna get a dance. You can do that if you want.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was.
Well, I guess I'll talk about the central office staff. I'll start with TD over here. There was never a dull moment when Teresa Dawes was in the building and around for whatever it may be. Her laughter, her humor was contagious to everyone around. So, you couldn't have a good time if you couldn't have a good time when you were around Teresa, then there was something wrong with you, because she was the life of the party. Central office has been very quiet this week without Teresa around. So next year's going to be very sad without her around, but we are very, very grateful for the time we had with Teresa and wish her nothing but the best in her retirement. Come on up.
By the way, I got a lot of work done this week.
Well, I did.
Hey, you got her.
And if I can dress both of those, I'm glad you finally did. And you too. All right, am I gonna hide the name? Can we get one with Mr. Saylor too, and Tanya, please? I just want you in my picture. Clock or no clock? My clock. Clock or no clock? No clock, just a picture of this.
If anybody decides to knock me off, that'd be a good thing to get me to say.
Yeah, I got two more I gotta talk about. So you gotta take a picture or go talk, one of the two. Don't take pictures.
All right, next we'll talk about Miss Tanya Isaacs. I have been around in this district for a lot of years, and I will have to say the steady force and my rock to get me through all of those years has always been Miss Isaacs. Miss Isaacs and I went through Estill together, and so all the pictures that you saw of food, we did the same thing. But we learned a lot about each other. We learned a lot of important things for us to use through our career, but more importantly, we became better friends because of that. Our district is losing a jewel when we are losing Miss Isaacs. But I wish her nothing but wonderful years and for her to enjoy her retirement as much as she possibly can. All right, last but not least, we will talk about Mr. Saylor. When I first became interested in administration, I got my job as the assistant principal at the middle school. And Mr. Saylor was around during my time as an assistant principal. And then when Mr. Burkhart left, Mr. Saylor helped me to take that leap to become the principal at the middle school. All of which were phenomenal, wonderful years in my career. But I would not have had the initiative to do things that went on in the middle school if it wasn't for Mr. Saylor's support. We haven't always agreed on things, but we have learned how to come to consensus that we'll just let it go for now, and we'll let him think on it for a few days, and I'll sit on it for a few days, and we'll come back and come to an agreement. So he has been a phenomenal mentor for me through my years as an assistant principal as well as my years as a principal. And when this opportunity to come to central office became available, I didn't hesitate because I knew that being next door to him, I was going to learn even more in my career of education. So I was very excited again for the opportunity that he has given me. The last thing I want to say is, once an engineer, always an engineer, Mr. Saylor. So please come back. You will always be a part of this community. And I am very grateful for having you as our superintendent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you all know consensus usually meant she did what I asked her.
That's true, but I wasn't gonna say that. No, I don't have to hide the
If y'all don't care, indulge me just a minute. I'd like for the board to come up as well, if you don't.
You know that you gave me my clock for my retirement when you were incoming superintendent.
Hey, Mr. Saylor, can I finally have a little?
I'm gonna step out of it. It's like we're kind of.
That's all right. Miss Smith, you out here. Oh, I'm on.
Right now.
Okay, here. Miss Teresa Dobbs. With your service as our community ed director.
I finally got him out.
And for all the wonderful work you have. You know, and she's right, because when we started this program, we decided we weren't eligible. And so she has recognized everybody in this school district for the last, what, 6 years? And
8 years. We started as soon as you got here.
Make sure you
I thought
get
maybe we started in
seven.
for sure 7 years.
Yeah.
So we recognized all these different people, but she was never eligible to be recognized. And Lord knows, she deserves it. So I wanted to get a picture with you guys tonight, and I really appreciate you all very much.
Abby, you want Abby in there as well?
Yes.
Tom, Abby, get in there.
Makes it even, don't it? 3 and 3?
All right.
Win real quick, come on. You did.
Real quick.
All right. Come on, you make me look good.
That's all we have that's here, Mr. Saylor.
Let's go ahead and, if you don't care, Ms. Williams, just let's name the other individuals so we'll have it on record with the board.
We have Miss Brenda Flynn, who was a bus aide, and if I'm not mistaken, she was on the same route for her 21 years in our district. So she stuck with us for 20 years and even put up with Jimmy Johnson on her route.
That's the most important thing.
And then we have Miss Debbie Haggard. Tony Garrett, would you like to say anything about Debbie Haggard? She was a paraeducator for 10 years at South Urban. maintenance department. And anytime we needed something done, we knew that Kenny would come and help us no matter what. So, reindeer. He was very instrumental in getting our bus decorated for the Christmas parade. So Kenny has been with us for 10 years, and we will definitely miss Kenny. Gerald Flynn was one, and if I'm not mistaken, we missed him because of COVID. Is that correct? Is that what happened?
Well, I think what happened is Mr. Flynn drove the school bus for many of a year and retired. And then after retirement, he came back. So nobody really realized that when he retired the first time, he didn't get recognized. So when he retired the second time, we didn't recognize him for a second retirement. So he got left out totally, and that's my apology to him. But Gerald, I'll tell you what, has taken our ball teams. He's been all across this state driving our basketball and football teams. I mean, it didn't matter if it was a sport, Gerald was going. And the reason why they always wanted Gerald, because he was off that bus, he was getting the water cooler, he was putting things on the bus, he was taking care of the team. He was there with them. He was just like their daddy, going to the ball game with them and taking care of them. And I apologize, Gerald, you're not here, but we miss you, man. I know our teams and our kids miss you, and we hope that you are having a wonderful retirement.
They had a prior engagement. They called, and so they hadn't got the clock already, but they couldn't be here tonight because of that. So we appreciate all of our retirees.
If anyone would like to leave at this time, we're going to move on with our facilities and construction updates, so we'll get Peter.
Yeah, we'll bring Peter on in.
They're all waving their clocks and running.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you need him to testify for you, you're off, let me know.
She deserves about 5 gold bars to deal with your hind end.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, that's my last one.
Yeah, hasta la vista.
The baby.
Pasta la pizza.
Harder.
How's Mimi?
Mickey, you're awesome, thank you.
How's Mimi?
You'll be missed.
How's Mickey and Mimi and
See you, Coach.
Dale?
See?
Okay. Thank you.
Bless you.
Honey, they're on
Carry
our phone.
yourself, girl.
First one. Don't mess me.
We cleared the room, didn't we?
Come on, clear my kidneys.
Go ahead. Go
Can
for
I?
it. Yeah. Go. We'll excuse you.
The next group's coming in, we're getting Peter and everyone for facilities.
Better math than that. Lost 4/5 of our crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. speaking of math questions, you did notice when our seniors listed Bell County High School, Lord have mercy, it's time for me to go. And our seniors listed Estill County High School for sale for $2.5 million. And I told Mr. Yost, I said, you know, you're going to have a talk with your math department.
Yeah.
Because we just did $15 million worth of construction on that facility. So believe me, it's worth a lot more than $2.5 million. But I do think that our senior that did that, I think he got kicked off of Facebook Marketplace. I don't think he lost his privilege for Facebook Marketplace for the next year. So, you know, it's one of those things, I guess, you know. Sometimes you got to pay the price for a joke, you know, so.
He didn't lose the pawn, though.
Are we ready, Mr. Simpson? All right, so we're moving along with our agenda. We're down to our facilities and construction update. And first on our agenda is our Estill Springs Elementary ESSER renovation and addition project.
Yeah, so as normal, we met today with the contractors at our monthly meeting. Everything went well. We're working diligently to get ready for next Friday. Paving started, you've seen that. Concrete's all but done. Sod is down. We're going to dress it up this weekend and first part of next week, and then we'll hydro seed what you see there right now. That's dirt. The classroom additions are all but done. Peter punched those today, so we'll get the punch list completed on that, get it cleaned up. So what I was telling Mr. Saylor today is I was hoping by middle of July we're done with punch lists and all. So in and out, and hopefully close it out. If not, well, actually, let me rephrase that. The electronic sign will not be here until the middle of August. So I'll close everybody out that I can in July, August, and then probably September before I close out the last two contractors.
It's a beautiful facility. I'm really looking forward to next Friday, 2 o'clock. I think it's a great way to finish my career and finish this construction project. So it's been a great ride. I'm really appreciative of Kenny and his crew. And of course, Casey there has been the manager. I think Casey's leaving us this coming Friday, but he's staying for the dedication. And very thankful for Jim Codell. He is a excellent man, and I consider him a friend, and I appreciate all their efforts. They've been fantastic on this job. I won't get to close this one out. I told y'all it's going to be done, but I won't get to close it completely out. But hopefully sometime around October you'll be able to close out all the paperwork. And I told Angie today if you need any help, come October 1 I could come back in and help you, but not before then. Of course, if Mr. Brock wants me here, I can help get these closed out and get it done. That way nobody has to worry about it. But we have a pay app in front of us, $328,726.32, and it's been reviewed by both Codell and Ross Tarrant. It's my recommendation to make that payment.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the pay app number 9, $328,726.32. Ms. Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do I have a second? Tammy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next on our agenda, we have our Estill County School Safety and ADA Upgrade Project.
So, appreciate the opportunity to be here with you guys tonight. Jonathan and I met with John Haddix of Jarbo Construction today at both schools. We met first at South Irvin. The good news there is all the hardware is installed. They are at the point of getting it the installation inspected, and they'll be closing that building out here very quickly. The middle school, they've got about 45% of the hardware installed, and they expect to be ready for inspections there in just a couple of weeks. So, inspections, if there's some work that they need to follow up with, I don't know how long that period will be. They have until the end of July to finish, but I think they're ahead of schedule. So all of the installations that we saw look really good today. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about that project.
should be able to at least close it out BG4 by August, right?
I really do believe so.
Yes.
And this is gonna be all of our schools. This is gonna complete all of our schools with
That's right.
hardware and safety upgrades.
One key. One key fits every door in this district. And our custodians are very thankful, and our maintenance guys, they're very thankful because, you know, they'll be able to not have to have hip surgery now after carrying these keys around for 25 years. So, but it's a great safety feature. Along with that is that all of our doors on electronic system, so all of our teachers, they don't have keys, they have badges, they badge in. If somebody leaves us, when I leave on June 30th, my fob will no longer work. It will time me out and I'm gone. So people that leave our district, it's easy to turn them off, it's easy to turn them back on. Somebody at South Irving cannot get into West Irving and vice versa, so they're very easily, the accessibility for our buildings, it's fantastic. And by the time you do that, along with all the security systems and security cameras, your buildings are now safe. It's a huge investment that this community has taken on, and they can rest assured that we have provided great security for each of those facilities. So it's been absolutely fantastic, and this one was, I didn't know we was gonna get this one done, but thank goodness we did. And you've got to pay out for $119,094.76, and it's been reviewed by Ross Tarrant, and my recommendation is that we pay that.
Okay, I need a motion to approve pay application number 2, $119,094.76. Brian Covey makes a motion. Do I have a second? Carrie Smallwood makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next on our agenda, we have our district facility planning.
I know that Peter and Stephen was the hearing officer for the district facility plan, and I do not believe that they had anybody that showed up
We didn't,
for
but-
that meeting.
But, and I think that Stephen has provided a public hearing report saying that. And that's
Yeah.
sort of what is in front of the board this evening.
Yeah, and I think he's waiting for your all's final action tonight to approve this plan. This is the same plan that you approved to go to the hearing
Yes.
meeting, and now that after that meeting has been held and there's no public comment for you all to consider, we need a motion for you all to approve this facility plan.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the final 2023 through 2027 district facility plan as discussed. Brian Covey makes a motion. Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
And one other item, Ms. Isbert, for the board and for Mr. Brock, and we've talked a little bit about this, Mr. Brock and I have, but not a whole lot. But Rebecca is upstairs listening to the meeting, of course, so she is taking notes. But at the next board meeting, I do believe you all need to have some conversations about whether or not you want to hire a structural engineer to come in and look at Estill County Middle School. We had it reviewed 2 years ago by Pogue Engineering, and we did receive a report on that building. That building is safe, but that building is going to continue to move because of the pyritic shell. And actually, the cost to repair that building probably exceeds the cost of a new building at this point in time. But in order for you all to know that, you're going to need a structural engineer to come in and really take a look at that facility. And if the structural engineer agrees, then Ross Tarrant, I'm sure, will do I guess, an estimation of what the repairs that would be suggested by that report, what it would cost. And then based on that information, I do think that it would be wise for you all to petition the legislature for emergency funding for the replacement of that school. If not, it's going to be sometime in the mid-2030s before you can address the middle school due to your bonding. We've done $47 million worth of construction, so, you know, our bonding potential right now is not very high, just based on, but that's as the bonds start coming off, you're going to have West Irvin. Well, first you're going to have the high school come off, then you're going to have West Irvin come off. And we're talking about the high school construction from the mid-2000s, 2006. That'll come off, West Irvin to come off. There'll be some other things come off, so it'll be 2035 before you have enough bonding potential to actually build a new school. So once you get that report, I would begin that conversation with Representative Wesley and move forward in trying to see if there is opportunities there for the board to apply for emergency funding. And we'll leave it at that. So that will come back to you all probably in July as an agenda item in terms of hiring a structural engineer. You're looking at less than $15,000, I believe. We were quoted earlier at 11 something, I think. So it'll be money well worth it if you get a good report out of it.
Okay. Anything further with that?
Nope, that's.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have consideration for approval of the following revised BG1s.
Okay, you know, at the last meeting, we approved 11 BG5s. And over the last few weeks, KDE has cleared all those out, and in order for us to move forward, and the reason that is because each project is listed to cost this much money, and then once the project is finished, if there's additional funds in that project, you can move them to other projects in order to help pay for them. If you have a project that doesn't have enough funds in it to pay for it, you have to increase the funds in the project in order to pay for it. That it has to balance out. It's a balance sheet. That's what the BG5 is. So in order to do that, the first one here, and we'll do all these at once, but West Irvin did not have enough funds in it, so we were able to use some of the funds left over from those 11 projects to now present a BG1 that's balanced and ready to go forward for a BG5. Area Technology Center, there was enough money in the Area Technology Center. As a matter of fact, that project had $148,000 residual funds in it. And the funds from that project and the old Estill Springs project is going to be used in the Phase 7 renovations to balance it because, as you all know, we added a lot of pavement to that project, and it's over about $238,000. Well, the funds from those projects and the bus garage will now pay for the high school project. So we've got to present a BG1. As a matter of fact, we're going to have to wait really for the technology center to clear before you can present the high school one. But we're going to go ahead and approve it tonight, and all the paperwork's lined out and taken care of. The Estill Springs ESSER Fund, you closed out 6 ESSER projects last time. There was a balance of $110,000 in ESSER funds that I have moved completely within that project. What that will allow is it'll make it easier for Angie and Jeremy and Mr. Brock to close that project out now that all the funds are concentrated in one spot. And the only stipulation there that they'll need to remember, these are ESSER funds, so you got to make sure that whatever you spend those funds on meets the guidelines, the federal guidelines for the expenditure of ESSER funds. That was the only thing that KDE told us. And then there was still about $23,000 in capital outlay and general fund cash in those projects, and I moved all of it to the school safety and ADA upgrades, and all of the funds from that project, there's like $80-some thousand in contingency, and there's $20-some thousand in equipment, so there's like $110,000 in there, give or take, about $1,000. And all that money went to upgrade all of your intercom systems. And Angie and I worked on that today. We've got all the things in that project that need to be there, and that had to happen by June 30th because you're getting ready to close the year out. You're going to lock your budget in place. So we worked on that today. So she's got all those projects, are all the new tech billings and invoices placed in that project. And there's enough money in there to pay for all that. And of course, you've got updated intercom systems everywhere. Again, safety. And not only that, you now have the ability, Mr. Brock will be able to pick up his phone and he can make an all call to every student in the district. He can talk to Estill County High School if he wants to talk to Estill County High School, if he wants to make an announcement straight from his telephone. So that is a great safety feature as well. Just like when we had the tornado warnings earlier this spring, instead of us having to call every school, you make one call and it's done. That's taken care of. So all these projects, they have enough money in them. There might be some funds at Estill Springs when it's all said and done, but there won't be a lot. So the recommendation here for you all would be that you would approve all 5 of those BG ones. We're going to submit 4 of them, either tonight or in the morning. Jeremy's going to submit them. And we'll have to wait for the ATC to get approved. And as soon as it gets approved, he'll submit the high school one as well. So recommendations to approve all 5 of them.
I need a motion to approve the BG ones as discussed. Tambo makes a motion. I couldn't think your name. I was like, who is that? It's been a long day. I need a second. I told you. Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion?
No.
All right. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote.
I actually called her Tambo tonight.
I did too.
I normally don't do that.
I don't either, and I'm sorry.
It's my last board
This has
meeting.
been a long day.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Tambo
All right, so next on our agenda, keeping on track, we need to approve some BG5s.
Yes, and I have, you had the documentation on those BG5s that we're presenting. Like I said, the West Irvin project is now balanced. As soon as they approve it, Jeremy's going to be able to turn right around and put a BG5 in front of them. And so hopefully it'll be done by the time you get to July. The Area Technology Center, again, it should be rather straightforward. It should be approved, and then Jeremy, same thing. Again, the high school phase 7, and if you'll click on the attachment for that one, Jeremy, you sort of have the BG5s on the other ones, but I just want to show you on this one. I did this one by hand yesterday because while you're doing a BG1, you can't do a BG5. If you got a BG5, you can't revise a BG1. So I had to go in and erase the BG5 in order to beat the BG1. But for instance, whenever the Area Technology Center is approved, Jeremy will submit the BG1 for this project. And as soon as that's approved, this is your BG5, and you can see your final cost of the high school project is $14,960,000. And again, if you go on down, you can see the residual funds. That's the funds from the other projects right there, $238,000 that we had to move in there to balance it. Again, remember, we did all that pavement and stuff. We decided to just redo it all. That way it would look right. And that's pretty much the cost of all your pavement in that project right there was that $238,000. So as you can see, it balances. Everything's ready to go. Jeremy will just sort of have to jump the hoops as it comes in. Him and Angie can take care of that. But if you go ahead and approve it now, that way he's got a board order that he can submit these without calling on y'all to do it again in July.
So I need a motion to approve those BG5s.
I'll make a
Brian Covey, is that your name?
I think it's him. You call me Brian Samples one night or something. Somebody did.
That was Junior Samples, wasn't it? From me,
I need a second.
I'll second.
Tammy Hardy makes a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right.
So that will leave you all 2 projects. It'll leave you Estill Springs and the safety project. And,
You guys are out of here. Unless you have something else.
Well, I just want to say it's been a privilege the last 5 or 6 years to work with Mr. Saylor. I've done this for 24 years, and I think he's the best I've been around. He's got common sense, firm but fair, and in this business that we did deal with a lot of boards and superintendents, I'm telling you, you're right up there, if not the best. So I do appreciate it. The board's been great to us. We look forward to doing some more work with you guys. So wish you the best in your retirement, sir.
appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I would like to echo what Kenny said, and I've been with you, Jeff, in Bell County a little bit, and then here in Estill County since you came. And
12 plus years.
yeah, it's been a great ride. It's been a real honor to be a part of your vision for this district and the board's vision for this district, and you will be greatly missed. So.
And I'll let you all know that Peter's not retiring, but he's leaving with me. He is taking a job at the University of Kentucky.
Whoa.
And he's going to be working on their capital projects.
Yeah.
You said you had 400 million to spend?
They have $4 billion.
$4 billion, okay. That's $4 billion, so that 400 million won't be a drop in the bucket for him. But he's going to be moving on from Ross Tart, and I know that Peter, you guys know, he's been all over his country. I mean, he's been going 2 or 3 board meetings, seem like a week, and everything else. And Jonathan, of course, I'm assuming is stepping in and sort of going to try to lead you home on the rest of these. And it's been 12 years I've been with Peter, and it's in Ross Tart itself. And they're a fantastic group. And I know the board, at one time was really looking at if we wanted to continue our relationship, and thank goodness we continued our relationship with Ross Tart, because, I mean, I told them today, they're family. It's almost at this point, they're family. I mean, we love them, and appreciate Kenny and his work, and I was able to work with Codell and Bell County as well on an elementary project, and that's when I got to know Jim. And I tell you what, if there's something out there and you need help with, and you need somebody that has the ear of some people in high places, Jim Codell's the man to know. I've seen the magic work, and it's because he's trusted and he's well thought of, and he only employs people like that, and Kenny's one of them. And I appreciate you guys very much. And I would like to, Jeremy, if you'd pop this one last thing up before we went, I just wanted you to sort of look at the construction history. It should have been under facilities and construction. It's the very last item, the facility history. And I went back and sort of, as far as I could, to sort of see where you've come from. And the first part of it's first couple is before I got here, but 2006 was when the high school renovation phases 3 through 5 was completed. 2011, you opened a brand new elementary with West Irvin Elementary. And then right as I was arriving here, you had phase 6 of the high school, which was gym and restrooms, and South Irvin with a new kitchen and lighting and roofing. And those projects had been approved before I got here, but I was fortunate enough to be able to help close those out. But then, as you can see, in 2019, after the passage of the nickel, what we've been able to do, the Estill Springs renovation and the middle school and Estill Springs roof projects. And listen, that Estill Springs renovation couldn't happen at a better time with the heat and air system going down as it was being done. Then we purchased land and completed a transportation facility at about time starting the Estill County Area Technology Center. Then we've had all kinds of ESSER district HVAC. That was the district HVAC upgrades to address COVID. That was district-wide and at West Irvin. Then there's your high school construction in 22. And then look at all your ESSER projects that went along with that. You had your restrooms and middle school restrooms and high school sanitary line and HVAC. And we talked about sanitary lines for months.
And we're still talking about it.
But this will be the last time you have to mention them. West Irvin parking lot, which was part of the original plan and had to be cut because of a lack of funding. Now you have that beautiful parking area over there. It made a world of difference in that school site. 2023, your Estill Springs Phase 2 renovation. And I probably should have went out there to the side and sanitary line repairs as part of that, which we didn't know at the time, and the district safety upgrades. But here's when I tell everybody we're completing since 2016 going back to the Estill Springs and the roof projects, we have between capital outlay, SFCC funds, through grant funds, through general funds, through ESSER funding, and I've got all of it listed down there and broken down. $47.7 million worth of construction since 2016. I tell you what, this board and this community has a lot to be proud of. I'm just thankful that I've been able to be a part of that. And we've left a legacy for this school district for years to come in terms of, there's not a school district east of I-75 that has better school facilities than we have. Not one, not one. And I mean, and you go to our oldest building, which is South Irvin, that place is now a show place. It is an absolute show place, all the way down to the Area Technology Center, which everybody always said, well, Mr. Soler, he loves that football. I like that football field, but I'm telling you, that Area Technology Center is what I claim as my legacy gift to this school district, because that was near and dear to my heart. I knew how many people wanted it, and that is my favorite facility. And you can see what we've done. $1 million in capital outlay cash, $9.7 million in grants, $5.6 million in ESSER, and $31.4 million in FSPK bonding. That is the nickel, people. You had less than $1 million when I got here in bonding potential, and you've done $31.4 million. That is amazing. It's a great record. It is something to be proud of. And you guys, 12 board members since I've been here, all 12 of you have something to be proud of with that right there. And we couldn't have done it without your all's partnership, so thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good luck on your new job.
Thank you.
We need tickets.
Kenny, thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
And we'll be here Friday.
We look forward to working with you.
Yep, thank you all.
Take care.
That's good stuff right there.
It's good stuff.
Next, that brings us down to our action items.
Thought you weren't gonna cry. First one is our KSBA policy updates. I know they've been reviewed. They've been reviewed by our central office staff. I think Mr. Brock has also had some conversations. I think the only policy that has been, and it's a policy that was supposed to be approved and on the books before July 1, and it's the one that you've seen all the controversy over, which goes back to Senate Bill 150. I don't want to come out in opposition to anything or any guidance that KDE would issue, but I also know that some of the guidance that KSBA has issued in this area is the reason why we're sitting here facing some of the things that we're facing with these changes that we've seen in the law. And I don't want to step out of bounds here, because Mr. Brock, of course, is going to be the one leading this school district moving forward. But I think KSBA, I think this policy takes the strictest interpretation of Senate Bill 150, if I understand correctly, in terms of how we teach students about gender and how we teach students in terms of sex ed and those types of things. And I think at this point in time, it would be my recommendation, and if he feels different, then I would ask him to say, but I think we should adhere to the strictest interpretation of that, which is what I think this policy is based upon. If they change that law in January, it's always easy to go back. It's not so easy to go back, and I'm afraid you're going to see some really back and forth between our legislature and KDE on this. And I don't think, honestly, there's some fights that needs to be had. There's some things that public school needs to step up and be heard. Public schools need to band together, and if we don't start receiving the funding that we need to receive from this legislature, then we do need to bring a lawsuit against them, period, plain and simple, because they're hurting kids when they're not funding education. But I don't want to get in a fight over cultural things. We'll continue to work with our parents. We'll work with all kids. We love them all. And no matter what, we believe, and I believe, and I've never had a problem with the fact that all kids, you know, they have a right to be themselves, and it's up to us to work with them and their families in order to make that happen. So my recommendation to you on this one is that we approve the policies as they have been given to us by KSBA. You'll have to do a second reading in July. If something changes between now and then, that will give Mr. Brock and you all time to make to make some type of change if you need to before the school year. Might require a special called meeting, but it will give you time to do it. But I really don't see the legislature backing off this, and I just don't think that's not worth fighting over. We'll help our kids. We'll help our kids, our parents, no matter what. So my recommendation is to approve those policies on first reading, and along with that, you're going to approve the procedures. You only have to approve that on one reading, and that's my recommendation.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Tammy?
Tammy Hardy makes a motion. Do we have a second? Carrie Smallwood makes a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, we have consideration for approval of their handbooks for the FY 23-24 school year. We have first our employee handbook, our coach's handbook, and our sub handbook.
And all those are crafted by KSBA. So all those policies that you just approved are included in those new coaching, in all three of those, the sub handbook, the employee handbook, and the coach's handbook. I do think you'll probably get another change in the coaching handbook a little bit later because there are some requirements in terms of the new AED legislation that passed. And I know Austin is working on that. And I think what can happen, you all can maybe approve that. It's probably more of a procedure than it is a policy, but they'll figure that out and they'll bring it back to you if they need to. But we usually put all this stuff in a handbook, and it's part of the emergency action plan is what it's involved with. Well, the emergency action plan is really not board approved, but you normally approve that coach's handbook. So it's all got to do with AEDs and how they are implemented within that emergency action plan. But for right now, my recommendation is to approve all three of those as written, and they'll make any revisions they need to, as you do throughout the entire school year. There's clauses in all those handbooks that says that if a policy change occurs during the school year, it's automatic. It just has to be communicated.
I need a motion to approve all the handbooks for the FY 23-24. Brian Covey makes a motion, Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 5-0 vote. Next, we have consideration for approval of the Estill County Premium and Coverage Comparison Property Insurance and Workers' Compensation.
Mr. Brock and I met with Dave Kendrick, our insurance agent, and Josh, I think, and we met with both of them here just a few weeks ago, about a week and a half ago, and we discussed, of course, our insurance carrier has been Liberty, and by far, based on the proposals that we received, Liberty was the best choice to continue that coverage. There was some questions about the workman's comp coverage, and we actually got a little better quote from a group called ClearPath Workman's Comp. And the thing about workman's comp in the state of Kentucky, it's all by statute. So really and truthfully, whether you have workman's comp with KEME, if you have it through ClearPath, or you have it through X, Y, and Z over here, The coverages are the same, the limits are the same, all those things are the same. The biggest difference is that ClearPath is new to the business. And what is really good about Kimi is that Kimi has been really good about, if you don't have a provider in your community and a provider's not part of their group, then if you reach out to them, they're really good about reaching out to that group and saying, hey, come in under this policy, this is what we'll do. They really work for the employees, and I'm not saying ClearPath doesn't, and neither is Mr. Brock, because we had a long conversation about this, but we really feel in this particular case, until ClearPath gets a bigger footprint in the state, and they have more providers, and we understand that they're willing to work with individual employees who may need help and need coverage, we were a little hesitant to go with the low bid. And for a difference of $6,000, we felt like it was better to stay with the tested and true, tried and true group that we've been dealing with, and that's Kimi. And I can think of 2 employees. We have had great workman comp histories. We've had nobody hurt, but we've had 2 pretty significant injuries. We had an employee that fell and broke a hip. We also had an employee that stepped in a hole weed eating that was covered by some grass and had a pretty significant injury. And both of those were pretty significant work comp claims. And all I know is this: Kimi didn't miss a beat. They were there. They worked with one of those employees. Just like I said, their provider wasn't one of the providers. They came in, they got them on the provider list, they took care of them. And I know Ms. Isford probably works with workman's comp and stuff all the time. And it's important to have customer service. So for right now, the recommendation that we have for you all is to, of course, renew our policy with Liberty, but let's keep Kimi as our workman's comp provider. And it's going to cost you $6,000 more. It's going to be $415,000 instead of $409,000.
How many years have we been with them?
We've been with Kimi the last several years. I think it's been at least 3 or 4.
That's true.
And it could be longer than that. I'm just remembering back 3 or 4, but you know, you had, and it may be, you had another group right when I got here. There was a different group, and of course, we all know what happened with Kista and all that. So there was some providers within that as well. But we've been with Kimi now for a while, and they've been really good to our employees, and that's what this is about anyway. In case if an employee gets hurt, you want to be able to provide
Last
for
year,
them.
when I fell, and I didn't know which company it was at that time.
Yeah.
They did well too, in 2014, 15.
I'm not for sure. I know that we had a different provider at one time. And these, as you know, insurance companies come and go. You know, they'll come in, they do well for a while, and then they run those loss runs, and if the loss runs end up too much, I mean, y'all have seen lately in Florida how many companies are bailing out of Florida, no longer offering property insurance. And I can speak as a property owner in Florida, insurance costs went up 200%. You know, projecting another 200%. If any hurricane hits the state of Florida this year, they're projecting costs to go up another 200%, to double into the next year. So when insurance companies, whenever loss claims don't go their way, they're going to run. Kimi's not ran. They've been there. So I really believe that's the best recommendation, and that would be from both of us.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the premium coverage and comparisons property insurance and workers' compensation. Do I have a motion? Shayla Samples makes a motion. Tammy Hardy makes a second. I'd like to call for a vote at this time. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, we have consideration for approval of interagency agreement with South Central Head Start.
And of course, that South Central Head Start is part of the Community Action Council, and this is the beginning of our preschool contracts with Community Action Council. You'll have 2 more documents to approve in July with them, which is the MOA, and also I think it's I forget the name of the other one. I know Miss Tony Garrett. the full utilization agreement is part of that as well. But this is the contract that talks about the amount of money. We have, just based on the fact we've had a hard time using all the slots, we have been reduced to 90 slots, but that should still fill the slots that we have. And that doesn't mean that if there's a demand, I'm sure, knowing Sharon the way I do, if there was a demand and we needed additional slots, they would try to help find them if at all possible. So the amount per child has not changed, but since it's 90 children instead of 100 kids, it's about a $30,000 net reduction in the per pupil amount of money that we will receive. But I tell you, Miss Tony Garrett, as our preschool coordinator, has done a fantastic job. Even though they're pretty much set at that $330, I think, range, which is part of their federal contract that I think ends this year. Their memorandum, they can't change that. But now they've stepped up. They're doing all the mowing at South Urban. We don't have to touch it. They're paying for school supplies, and they're paying for all these different things for our schools. So we've ended up being able to offset the money that it was costing us to run a preschool program. Hopefully, we did see a reduction in state preschool money. Hopefully, that's going to be one of the things the legislature will address. They need to really focus on early childhood education. But my recommendation is to approve that interagency agreement. It's a good agreement.
I need a motion to approve the interagency agreement with South Central Head Start. Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do I have a second? Amy Hardy makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, we have consideration for approval of the FY24 bond depository.
Both of these are finance documents that's required by KDE, and the first one is our bond depository, and my recommendation is to approve it.
I need a motion to approve the FY24 bond depository. Brian Covey makes a motion. Sheila Samples makes a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have consideration or approval of our treasurer's bond.
That keeps Angie legal and taken care of, so we want to approve the treasurer bond.
Do I have a motion? Brian Covey makes a motion. Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, we have consideration for approval of the WLEX marketing agreement for the Estill County School System.
We have had conversations over the last several years about how we promote our school system, especially now that you've done $47 million worth of construction, and we're the best kept secret. We made this statement the other day. I made the statement, we're the best kept secret east of 75. As Mr. Brock and I met with LEX, Joe Crawford was here, Ethan Moore was here, Jeremy was part of that. And Jean and the other lady I'm forgetting right now. Tara, Jean and Tara was both here, and they gave a great presentation in terms and said, there it is, right on the Tara Finn. And they said, well, it's our job that you no longer will be the best kept secret east of 75. And our goal is here is strictly, when we started talking about this, and I'm going to give credit where credit's due. As you all know, I talk to Kevin Williams a lot. And Kevin Williams is a big supporter of our school system. And Kevin and I have not always seen eye to eye, but we're like two brothers. I mean, we're close and we talk quite a bit. And Kevin said, have you ever thought about, you're talking about promoting this? He said, well, what about an advertising campaign? What if we got a hold of an ad agency? And it got me thinking. I got with Jeremy. And the next thing you know, Jeremy was able to get in touch with Gene. I think he's known Gene and was able to get in touch with him. And we started talking, well, how do we do this? And what we said, this is what we want to do. Number one, let's thank the people of Estill County, because if it wasn't for that nickel, you saw $31.4 million. If it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be able to do anything. And go back to that last slide you had, or was it slide before or whatever? Go back one where you had the picture. No, right there. Right there. So we talked about that, and then we want to talk about, well, what a great community this is. And we talked a little bit about it. It says affordable, safe housing. You know, housing right now is an issue in our county, but we're talking about from the standpoint, you tell me where else you'd rather raise your kid than raise them in Estill County, Kentucky, in terms of a small town home environment where, you know, you still go to church on Sunday, you still treat people with respect, and, you know, you just have an overall great community. You have a school system now that has fantastic facilities, and then also to bring EDA and the Chamber of Commerce into this as our partner, we want to talk about tourism. It's a great place to visit. So if you come visit, maybe you'll stay.
You need to include the furnace in that.
Yeah, and they just put the steam heritage, that's the first thing that come up. We talked about the furnace.
Okay.
You know, we talked about the, you know, the closeness to the gorge and some of the other things. So Joe and them will work on the tourism part of it. This was Gene's first whack at this. So
Just a draft.
what we're looking at here is they're going to come in, if you all approve this, and what we're looking at, it's a 12-month advertising campaign at about $3,000 a month. It's $36,000 in total. We're trying to get local businesses and the EDA and the chamber to put up a fourth of that amount. And if they put up a fourth of that amount, it's going to put us right about $25,000. And they're going to run commercials, and this tells you how many people they reach. Back, if you go back to that, this is how many households the LEX Lexington TV market. This is how many households see their station on a, you know, in terms of that, have access to their station. It also talks about they have the largest Facebook following of any news organization in the state of Kentucky. They use Twitter, they use Instagram, they use all of these different things. And basically their strategy is out there to reach 7.1 million people in the next year. They can reach them through those things. And we'll be featured on the Best of the Bluegrass, which they said that Jennifer's show on Saturday night is the most watched news show in the state of Kentucky. Her Best of the Bluegrass, and we'll be featured on there, I think, 4 times during the next year. The television commercials, once they're shot, they're going to come in here, they're going to take about 3 hours of footage, and they're going to build five or six different commercials. It's going to focus on the school system. They're going to focus on engineer athletics. They're going to show off your athletic facilities. They're going to show off the education system itself. They're going to show off the town. They're going to talk about tourism and the sights that there is to see. And it's just a way to get our county out there. And we've been promised that if we do this, we will be the weekly feature, just like this week. They're in Wilmore, Kentucky, I think, starting Monday. They're going to do newscasts from Wilmore all next week, 5 days. We will be the feature county in that, and they'll come here and they're basically going to do Estill County. And that's for free. That don't cost you a dime. That's part of that. We talked about this, and we talked about return on the investment. I don't know if how many kids or how many parents we may be able to attract to this area. But we're wanting to push this east to try to get people from the east to come west, to get closer to Lexington, to get closer to the light blue market there. So it's going to be pushed out. And quite honestly, guys, we're going to recruit kids to our school system. We're going to recruit families to Estill County, and we're going to recruit kids to our school system. And Mr. Brock and I, we've talked about it. I think we feel good about it. Now, here, if we start seeing, let's say we get 6 months into this, and we just don't think it's going well, 2-week opt-out, no cost. Doesn't cost you anything. We cut ties and run with it. if that's what you want to do. But the ideal here is that if you are ready to approve this, then we'll have commercials up and running by mid-July. And the goal is that maybe before the school year starts, who knows, we may get 7 or 8 kids. If we got 7 or 8 kids, let's just say we get 10 kids, that's $60,000 in seat funding and at-risk funding. You're going to pay $25,000 for the whole campaign. So not only you come out 50% to the good, more than 50% to the good. And quite honestly, yeah, we're doing it to recruit kids. We're doing it to recruit families and kids to our school system. And it's not about athletics, but if athletic facilities entice a family to come here and be a part of the engineer family, we made the $47 million investment. That's up to us. Somebody else's tough loss. We're going to try to recruit the best and brightest to our school district because I tell you what, we've got a lot to offer. I really think this is exciting. We've talked about doing it the whole time. Kevin probably lit the fire about a month ago. I'm telling you, we've not been on this a month, have we, Jeremy? Probably right about Memorial Day. Talked to Mr. Brock about it. I know that probably the thing that's going to hurt this the most is they won't be able to put my face on TV. I'm late. So I know that I won't, nobody will get to see me. But Mr. Brock, he's not a bad-looking guy. If they put him on TV, it might not have the same impact, but I'm sure he can bring a few kids in. But I really think it's a great ideal. After 1 year, you may have the option to continue. There may be 2 or 3 commercials you want to continue to run. But I would, if you get it up in July, if you take it all the way, I would suggest not stopping it in June. I would at least go to July and August of next year because I'd try to recruit all summer next year. And I make no bones about it. We're going to try to recruit kids and families into our school system, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It's not just about athletics. Somebody said, well, you're going to recruit them athletics. It's got nothing to do with athletics. But if athletics entice them, then so be it. If you want to play on one of the nicest football fields that you'll find in this part of the state, it's right here, 3 miles away, 2 miles away.
Or participate in the band.
If you want to participate in the band, we talked about focusing the band. And hopefully we'll have some footage from where we had our band competition and we performed, on that field. That we need to promote that band. If I wanted to be a part of a marching band, then if I'm in one of these school districts that don't have that, and that's my interest, I'm coming to Estill County. I'm going to say, listen, Mom, let's go to Estill County. And in some cases, they don't even have to move. Listen, if I'm not dedicated to the local school system where I live, then there's not a whole lot of difference getting a car and coming to Estill County and going to your local school district. We're really looking hard to try to recruit a 20-mile circle from our high school. If you live within 20 miles of our high school, you don't have to move in order to come here. Most parents, 50% of our parents right now transport their kids to school. So.
As a reminder, Mr. Senator, they said that we can customize this. Like, certain times of the year, it might be focused on the school system. We might want to focus on band a little bit. Or even like when we're getting close to the Mountain Mushroom Festival, kind of pivot and do a different style commercial around that time leading up to, which is beneficial for the businesses. So, it's not one commercial, it's multiple commercials. I think he said 9 to 12 different is. But probably running somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 commercials for most of the time. And they said the most important thing about it is that you have consistency with that message, that they see the same thing over and over, just like, going down the road the other day, we start singing a jingle. For real country sausage, the best you've ever tried. That was. That's it. My bologna has a first name. Well, why do you know all those things? Is because it's hammered into your mind over and over and over. So we want people to go to bed thinking about Estill County. We want them to get up in the morning thinking about Estill County when they're drinking a cup of coffee and there's a commercial about Estill County and what there is to do here.
Where the mountains meet.
Yeah. So that's the thought process, and it's not just it's not just the school system, even though a majority of the advertising is going to be about the school system, we're going to focus on tourism as well. So I really think it's a great idea. I don't think you've lost a lot, no matter what. But I do think it would be good to sort of track if we have new families come into the community, need to ask, hey, why? Well, we saw your advertisement. We saw the commercials. We want to be a part of that band. You know, we want to be a part of the engineer spirit. We want to be an engineer. You know, you all have a lot of community pride. You got a lot to offer. So I just think it's a great ideal. I'd like to have got into this a little bit quicker, but I'm also glad to be bringing it to you all tonight. And I know Mr. Brock, I've been around Mr. Brock enough to know he talks as much as I do. And so, I mean, he can sell the school system. He'll sell the school system just like I have. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I think this is a good thing. Hey, listen, if you can do it, that's fine. But we've had a good time working together here over the last few weeks, and I think he's finishing up maybe tomorrow, getting close to finishing up. We'll spend some more time together over the next few weeks, just making sure that things are going well. But I really believe if we want to get on this, they told us we could have our first commercial up and running by mid-July. And Jeremy, go to that one page and it sort of shows when they're going to show like the commercials and stuff. It sort of tells you, I think this is important so you'll see exactly what it is you're getting. You know, this is sort of like their annual advertising agreement. That's okay. We got time. This is important. But this sort of tells you that the morning news that month, it'll run 5 times. It'll run 5 times during the month at noon. It'll run during the evening news. Their evening news telecast in the afternoons is the most watched news coverage in the state of Kentucky. And then there's bonus coverages at different times, maybe different events that are big events that they can choose and pick. And then, of course, you've got down at the very bottom, the best of the bluegrass. You'll be able to be featured on that show 4 different times. And then just in terms of just the rollout, I mean, in terms of, look at how many times your message will be seen, Facebook and all that. You got over 7 million, this could be seen over 7.2 million times over the next year. Just in terms of, because it's on Facebook and you pull up and the Facebook content, they'll be going down there. You know how they got advertising within the Facebook content? Well, there's the ad for Estill County. So it's really, I think, good. I'll shut up about it. My recommendation is that we do it. I think, heck, I love this county. I don't know if y'all can tell it or not. But I do love this county, and I put a lot of heart and soul in this, and I think this is what we need to do. Let's sell what we've done.
They need to do a little jingle for the Mountains Kiss of Bluegrass.
Yeah. Well, they've talked about coming up with that slogan, and every commercial is going to end with that slogan. You know, what is the one now, you know, the one that goes best cars, best price, you know, that's the way they end that commercial. Every commercial they do, it ends exactly the same way. They're going to drive that home. And we talked about the bluegrass kisses the mountains. I don't know if that's exactly what we'll do, but I mean, we'll have final say on the content.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the WLEX marketing agreement for Estill County Schools.
Motion.
Tammy Hardy makes a motion, Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, that brings us down to our consent items.
Pretty much the same items. Item C was your vendors for your transportation. I told them to come up with at least 3 vendors whenever they're soliciting fuel, oil, parts, whatever it may be, tires. You've got that in front of you. The Athletic Foundation has asked for you to approve 2 concession manager positions to make sure that our concession, probably the biggest complaint we had out of the foundation was getting our concessions to be more consistent in terms of what the offerings are going to be. With these 2 positions, that's their job. They're going to take care of those concessions in terms of inventory, making sure that the things that are served during our games and during our events are taken care of, and they've asked for that, and they're going to pay for those positions from proceeds, and I think that that'll be easily done, and it'll be good positions to approve.
Okay, with that, are they gonna run it every, like, say, football game, or are they just gonna be, make sure what's
No,
stocked?
the kids and the teams are still running the events. They're going to make sure that the stuff that's there is there.
Okay.
You're not going to show up at a game and the only thing they have is popcorn and pop. There are going to be consistent menus that's going to be developed for each of those events, and that's going to be the expectation at those events. Because if you have somebody that shows up to a 6 o'clock basketball game, they're just getting off work, and they're thinking about wanting to eat when they get there, and there's nothing there to eat.
Right.
So I think, you'll still see probably baseball parents working baseball games and softball parents working softball games because they can see the games now with the new concessions. But we're talking about at football events and, basketball events and soccer events to make sure you have a consistent menu and you have enough stock in order to make sure that everything's there.
Will they be meeting with the groups that's going to be over the, doing?
Austin will, I don't know exactly what his thoughts are, but he has a plan on how to implement it using those 2 individuals. And again, it doesn't cost you all anything, but in order for somebody to be paid, you've got to approve it. Southeast South Central is on there to be approved. They're a great partner with us, and that's our yearly fee. We've got 3 MOAs, and that's for our mental health counseling agreements with those 3 different groups. And we have an update to our data SIM agreement, and we do have some new data SIM computers that are coming to our district, and that's just part of that update. I recommend you approve all those with one motion.
I need a motion to approve those consent items as discussed. Brian Covey makes a motion. Do I have a second? Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries with a 5-0 vote. Next, we have our superintendent's report.
I get to talk some more. This is my last meeting, so if we're here all night, it don't matter to me, okay? Don't roll your eyes, Sheila.
I didn't roll my eyes.
You have your personnel actions there in front of you as you do every month. Donald also gave you an update on your enrollment. He's already, they're ready to close out their virtual school enrollment, but we're going to continue working on that. We're also part of the new Horizon Academy that will offer services to students in grades 7 through 12, I believe, is the agreement. They were going to do elementary school, but they just couldn't get it up off the ground. So he's going to make a renewed effort, especially with our homeschool parents, those that are traditional homeschool students, to offer them possible enrollment within the virtual school, so it could open back up like that. But there are already, I think, over 10 students that have signed up for the Horizon Academy. Now, those were homeschool students that, for whatever reason, did not want to come to Estill County Schools, but they've agreed to be a part of that. So whatever funds are left over after they have implemented their program will come back to the school district. It's a win-win for all of us, and that's through KEDC, who is putting that on. You've got some fundraising reports. The KSBA Summer Leadership Institute, I don't know if any of y'all are planning on going, but if you do want to go, all you need to do is contact Rebecca. I think it's coming up here. It's in July. I don't know the exact date. The Mountain Mushroom Festival sent you all a letter that I wanted to share with you, that just thanking you for your support during the Mushroom Festival, and it's part of your agenda items. And then I wanted to share the last document with you. We shared something about all of our facility accomplishments. Jeremy, if you would click on the attachment for district accomplishments. Since my arrival here 8 years ago, these are some of the highlights of the things that we've been able to accomplish during the past 8 years. And, you know, I don't want to go through all those, even though all of them are very important. You know, the vision and mission work we started with from the time I got here about every child has a destiny to do something great in their lives and the lives of others. And we talked about doing that, and that led all of our work. That led our work in facilities. That led our work through selling the nickel. That's led our work to bringing all of our schools under one banner. You know, and I know people still miss the Wildcats a little bit, or they miss the Bulldogs, but all of our kids love wearing that engineer flying E. They love it now. And I mean, we're all about engineers, and some of the early changes we made at the central office in terms of just management decisions. And then the leadership capacity that we've been able to build. The national board certification, we had one national board certified teacher in Estill County before my arrival, and I think their certification had lapsed. They got to renew it every 3 years. Now we've had 11 national board certified teachers. We've had all of our principals attend the National Institute for School Leadership, which is the NISL training. We got 3 new ones in this time. We've had 15 total. There's no school district in the state that's done that many. And of course, we've been able to parlay that and get it for free. Just proud of the reorganization at Estill Springs and West Irvin and the job that Ms. Mullins and Ms. Arvin have done in that. I really think that's going to bring a lot of dividends, and you've heard both of them talk about it. You know, sometimes everybody wasn't necessarily for that. Sometimes might not could have seen the forest for the trees, but as we've got into it and their positivity and how they went about that is that I think our kids are going to be better off with those K-5 schools, because it's going to allow them to build a longer relationship with them before they go to middle school. And, you know, sometimes, you know, in those early years, having that relationship in those early years, you know, if you jerk a baby away from its mother, it has a hard time transitioning. Well, these are babies. Even when we're sending 6th graders to the middle school, they're still babies at that point in time, but at least you reduce some of those transitions. It's been good in the work we've done with, you know, continuous improvement and just some of the others. And go on down, Jeremy, and I'm not going to read all these, but our support programs, nurses at every school, the mental health counselor. We've ended up losing our social worker, and you know, but what a great job she did during that time. A counselor at South Irvin, and those different things, providing for the mental health of our students. And then just in finance, I mean, we've maintained pretty much a 7% district contingency. I've not asked Angie right now, but we're expecting our rollover to be, if not more than it was. It's not going to be less than it was last year. I expect it to really be more, especially with the ESSER funds that we've been able to request down. So you have a healthy contingency. Even though you're going to face a $1.4 million cut, you're going to be able to withstand that because you've been very good financially. The nickel, we already know what that did. The 2 grants, what that did. The Steel Reese grants, the new buses. We had bought 1 new bus when I got here in like the last 7 or 8 years. With your 2 new buses that's getting ready to roll in here, you've got 28 new buses. We've run 30 buses a day. You've almost replaced the entire fleet in an 8-year period. That's fantastic. I mean, and plus we've got almost 2 of those buses for free through the clean diesel grants. And just your new district facility plan just completed, and although you don't have a lot of money, it does show you a lot of stuff is gone from that plan. And then finally, the last part of that, I think, is talking about just your facilities and what we've done, and we've already went over that. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm very proud that I've been able to work with you guys. I'm very proud to have been able to work for this community. My career would not have been complete without coming to Estill County. And no doubt, I spent 30 years in the Bell County school system. I went to school there. I grew up in that school system, went to school there, I taught there. But I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't take nothing for these past 8 years. These 8 years have meant so much to me. It's meant so much to my family. I always had that little bit of, I had that connection to Estill County through Hoover and Arthur and the football team. And first time I went to a regional basketball tournament in the 14th region and seeing that engineer band play over there and hearing that train locomotive start up and it coming down that track, and watched how the fans that night, I mean, you had a gymnasium that they was clearing out at the regional tournament, but you had a Estill County fan base that filled up 2/3 of the arena, because I'm telling you, nobody travels like Estill County does. Nobody. I used to get so disappointed. I've been a part of a state championship football team, and I'd be so disappointed. We go somewhere and play on the road, and there not be 200 people in the stands. I'm telling you what, you can't get out of town here in Irvin for people going to see a football game, and the way we support our schools and support our community. So I'm just so proud of what we've been able to accomplish. And yes, I had the vision when I got here. I knew what we could accomplish if we could get everybody working together. But it took this community and it took the board deciding to make that happen. And I'm appreciative to you. And I'll never walk away from being an engineer. You're gonna see me at games. You're gonna see me around. And hopefully, Mr. Brock, I won't be an aggravation, but I'm here to support you, because your success is my success, and it's the success of every community member, every parent, every student in this school system. And we believe in you. This board believed in you. I believe in you, and I'm here to help you in any way I can. And I want you to know that. I just thank you all. That's my report tonight, and I'll hush before I cry.
Okay, thank you for those reflections and words, Mr. Saylor. We appreciate you. Next on our agenda, we have I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph F, for the purpose of a discussion which may lead to appointment, discipline, or dismissal of an individual or a student or an employee. So I need a motion. Sheila Samples makes a motion. Do I have a second? Tammy Harding makes a second. All in favor?
And before you close out, Jeremy, just so everybody know, anytime you evaluate the superintendent, you gotta go in closed session. They're not dismissing me, I'm retiring. So, so just so you'll know that. And then in terms, the board members will have maybe some comments, and I don't think there's any public comments submitted tonight. I don't know if anybody's here has public comment, but if not, there'll be no action in closed session that, well, once they come out, they will take a vote on my evaluation. They do have to vote on it, but that's what's going on in closed session. So just for full disclosure. If we do need to come back after the fact, we'll just leave it on right now. Just close everything off and turn your camera just in case. You never know. If somebody walked in right now, you'd have to listen to their public comments, so you better not close it. Okay. live.
Okay, everyone. We have been in closed session to discuss Mr. Saylor's final evaluation here as an employee of the Estill County Board of Education. And his evaluation, we as a board have voted that he is exemplary. He exceeds the standards for strategic leadership and instructional leadership. Those were the standards that we evaluated him on. And so just to go over a couple of the comments, if I may, just to review some of the discussion that we had while we were in closed session. Everyone liked and commented that you always keep us informed, and an example of that was the documentation that you presented this evening on the school timeline, the information that you presented on each school project and how those projects have moved along. We also discussed that when you came, you had a vision for the school system and you had a strategy, and you never veered from that. Even when times got tough or got hard, you still kept your eye on the goal.
Even through COVID.
Even through COVID. We talked about teamwork and how you have tried really hard to build a team in all of our schools, and you even went as far as to do away with the West Urban Wildcats and the Bulldogs and all of those things, and everyone's on the same team. We're all engineers, and we discussed that. We also talked about in strategic leadership, we always get a monthly report in the superintendent's report, and we know all the activities and things that you have had going on throughout the month. So you're very transparent in those things, and everyone appreciated that. And then throughout all of the construction projects, you've worn a lot of different hats. Besides superintendent, you've been a construction project leader. You've been an instructional leader. You have been a shoulder for our teachers and staff to cry on during COVID. So you have had to wear a lot of different hats, and everyone appreciated everything that you had done in your strategic leadership. And you've been able to adapt and change and roll with ever-changing school days, and so it required a lot of critical thinking, but that didn't seem to ever faze you. So we had a lot of discussion about that. Under your instructional leadership, we talked about restructuring of the schools, and we just had a conversation about that in our board meeting, about how that you have a small school-age child and you move them to a different school, and it's like leaving their mother. And what you wanted to do is restructure those schools so that it would be in the best interest of all the kids. And we also talked about you being superintendent of the year, and we know that that wasn't by chance, and we understand that with your leadership that you deserve those accolades. We also talked about just instructional leadership and how you had restructured a lot of different roles and positions within central office, but in addition to that within our school system to make everything work. And then one of the positive things that we thought was how we had talked about in our board meeting earlier about how many board certified teachers that we have, and how all of our leadership staff that are in principalship positions or central office leadership have all been to NISL. And then once again, just the vision that you have for the ATC, and you knew that not all kids were college ready, and we really needed a center that we could train our own, take care of our own kids, and we could have them career ready. And so that has been a huge benefit for our community. A couple of things that I always do whenever we do your evaluation is I always have people just throw out some words to me, and I always try to write those down so that you can get an idea about some of the first words or one word that comes to people's minds when they think of Mr. Saylor, our superintendent, Mr. Saylor, our leader in our school district. So hardworking, a leader, very caring, has a big heart, You're invested in the kids, and the kids have always come first. You never take your eye off that goal. It's all about the kids. You've been a good steward of finances. You've invested not only in our school system, but in our community. And that's evidenced through you participating in Kiwanis and countless other events throughout the community. You're very articulate. You can talk to the wall. You're very motivated. Everybody feels that you're firm but fair. You're God-fearing, and you're never afraid to share your faith with people, and we all admire that. But above all of these things, besides being God-fearing and very devoted in your faith, when we think of you being a devoted husband, a father, and a grandfather. And all of these things are important, but the last two things are the most important things of all.
Thank you all. I appreciate that very much. And like I said earlier, it's been a pleasure to serve this school district, and I thank you all very much.
We appreciate you.
And I've got a few days left and plan on making good use of them, and Charlie and I will continue to work together, and he knows I'm a phone call away if he needs anything.
I have definitely appreciated the opportunity to work with you. It's
That's what it's all about.
That's the reason why we wanted to hire early,
That's
so
what
you
it's
would
all
have that
about.
time to transition.
And I think that's all we have for the meeting right now.
I think you have to make
we
a
have to
motion
vote
and
on it.
vote on the,
Yeah. So at this time, I'd like to call for a vote to vote on Mr. Saylor's performance evaluation as discussed. Tammy Hardy makes a motion, Sheila Samples makes a second. Do we have any discussion? Does anyone have any further comments? Okay. I'd like to call for a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay,
thank you
motion
all.
carries.
I appreciate it.
And so then we need a motion to close our meeting.
Well, I would like to say real quick, sorry, I know we're already going home. Because of the ATC Center, we have Blake Hardy, who signed with the CAT for the Think Big program to go to Illinois. I mean, if we hadn't had the ATC Center, how would he had that opportunity to go and do that? So that just shows you. And then one last thing, we had Relay for Life last weekend. It was great to see Estill Springs Elementary School there and West Irvin. They had a booth. I want to, and I know some people might be like, I want to issue a challenge to every school in our district, us as a board, to have a booth next year, because obviously with COVID, it had to stop, because I can remember the Relay for Life was such a big thing here in Estill County. And I think we all need to get involved, get more, hopefully more businesses and everything. But it was great that we have the facilities to be able to use it. And it was so nice walking on such a nice track this year for that.
Nobody krilled an ankle or stepped in a hole.
Not that I'm aware of, no, but it was wonderful on that track. It was nice walking around it.
Okay, thank you. So I need a motion to close our meeting. Tammy Hardy and Sheila Samples make a first and a second. All in favor?
And it's at
Motion
8.
carries.